Hello there, welcome to episode 13 of my advanced tutorial series for Dwarf Fortress. Today we are going to go for security on the outside perimeter, and my other little goal for today is to finally build that magma pool pit. We're going to dig a shaft down here, which will allow us to toss people down into this. Pretty useful stuff. Really cool to have. So in between, we're also going to set up our second military squad, and I'm going to set up some security things that will make our life easier here. And since this is a Let's Play series, that means I do have my goals, what I want to achieve, but there are plenty of things happening in the everyday life of a fortress that will divert us from our things, but it's still going to be in a way that I'm going to explain everything which I can. So, now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to do a construction over this thing here. We're going to set up a bridge that will just block this area here. Oh, whoopsie, that was not what I wanted to have. Mark's Dwarf is fighting the buzzard, whatever. And we're going to set up a bridge here. So, the bridge is going to be our, well, our seal off for emergencies, you know? When we really want to make sure that nothing, nobody, and, well, we want to seal off our base entirely. This is where this bridge will come in handy. We're probably going to set up two of these, one of them over here as well, so we have a, we have still access to our pastures here. Probably this one is bad. This one is better. This way, my fortress still has access to their livestock. I like this one better. And the simple thing here is we're going to set up one lever at the city core, where everybody is sitting at, and this bridge will then be linked to that one. This is going to be the first thing that we're doing. So, making a chain. Don't I have? Yeah, I have plenty of chains ordered. You do you. So, there we go. That bridge is now constructed. We're just going to wait a second for that thing here. And this is the first thing that we're doing. We're linking these together. And we're calling this seal the surface. And once we flick that switch, we will effectively lock off any outside access to the fortress, and I strongly recommend you to have that in your fortress as well. It is so valuable to have a seal the fortress now switch, because there are many reasons to want one, you know. We're going to go over these over the course of the series. So the next thing that I want to do here for today is I wanted to set up a second squad, and I noticed a wonderful little thing here. So we have 2, 4, 6, and 8 different jobs. That means we have the entire bronze gear here still set up. So we're just going to order 10 more, and this way we're definitely going to have enough gear for the next squad. Ah, yeah, here. I knew there was one too much, so we have probably more than enough bronze shields. So we leave that with one. So the next thing that I want to do here is I want to have bronze battle axes. So my philosophy here will be I want to have one squad mostly swords, one squad mostly axes, and one squad mostly spears. I personally love to have this sort of a specialization going on, because, you know, it makes life so much easier in my personal opinion. Okay, so we're going to set up a door here. This is going to be the barracks for training. And let's get back to our city core. So we have a little bit of a problematic here. Accidentally, I have carved out the floor tiles here as well, and, well, what I did last time was setting up a digging job for good measure here, and I forgot that I had damp stone here, so yeah. It came as it had to. So what we're going to do now is, we can do two things. So either you set up a staircase and go upstairs, and, well, we're going to do that, come on. So Because you might be confused. Here, everything is smoothed out and still the water is leaking. So that's because aquifers, they not only leak from left, right, and east, west, north, and south, they also leak from above, and that's what's happening here. So what we do need to do now, what we need to do now is, well, let's see if that'll work. So probably, if we're lucky, we can now just smooth out the entire thing here, and then we're going to have no more water down there. But there is a good chance that this will now repeat endlessly. But you know, I'm going to give it a try. So if that also doesn't help, you have to go again another level up, another level up, another level up until you're done with that. And the other option would be, and that's probably what we're going to do if the problem still persists, is we're going to seal off that thing, set up a bit of a wall over here, and just accept that this part of the fortress is lost. That's easier than fidgeting around like that. But we're going to see where this will lead us, right? So the thing is, a light aquifer is not going to kill off anybody, and therefore, or at least not that fast. Okay, so back to our security thing. So probably we got it now. Back to our security thing. We need to assign now a new squad. We already know how that works, so there's really no breaking news here. We just have to set up the whole squad yet again. And my personal average on every fortress that I got are 3 squads with 10 dwarves military in permanent training, because you know it is quite valuable to have that many people, because you know whatever risks, whatever danger might be coming up for your fortress, well, 30 people of 200 is a small amount, and still it will bring you a lot of safety, and it is enough to brave a lot of dangerous things. So we're going to set these guys up, and as usual, we need to make sure that the uniform replaces the clothing, and we need to do this for everybody. It's a little bit annoying that you knew that the game is in that regard a little bit, well, special. But it's the only way I know of to make sure that these dudes are wearing their boots. So we gotta do what we gotta do. So as you might note here, they're picking up all manner of random weapons here, lots of copper weapons that I don't want them to use. So if that ever happens to you, oh, I do notice that we do obviously need more shields here. If that ever happens to you as well, you can also configure here specifically what kind of weapons they're supposed to use. Standard setup is individual choice. You can, of course, tell them to use only a specific material by clicking here into the... Well, let's make that here. You bin that first, and then you can go for either setting up a specific weapon and... yeah, well, specific weapon... You can set up something you actually own. There's, well, we're going to leave it like that. I personally like the individual choice thingy, but I just wanted to show you how you can change that. I'm personally not that much of a huge micromanager with these things, but I think it is quite important to know where you can find the necessary little switches. Another thing that I wanted to do before we go finally for the magma pit, I noticed that my extremely unhappy dwarf here is a spear dwarf. He's a monster slayer, and well, I got him here assigned into this squad here. Let me show you one more time, a little bit more detailed. So Arush Lolokodad, and wait a sec. Oh, I misread there. But I'm sorry for the confusion. But whatever might be the case, if you ever notice that one of your military dwarfs is super unhappy, or has a character tendency to be super unhappy, because, you know, sometimes your dwarfs, well, some dwarves are basically born depressive. And if that's the case, stop them from training as quick as possible, because, you know, they only get deadlier, and a dwarf with constant mood swings has a bias to running berserk and such things, and you don't want a legendary fighter to run berserk in your fortress. You just don't want to, okay? Nobody wants that. So now to the magma pit. So we're going to dig a staircase just like here. So first off, we're going to go deep downstairs here. Next step, we're going to go like that, where we want it here. Okay, we're starting down here, and now we're going to set up a digging command all the way over here. So, there we go. So we're now digging out a small ledge, the entire thing here. Yeah, that should work out. So next thing we're doing now is we're assigning a channel or command all the way down here. But I'm leaving out that level here. So the idea behind that is now one person will come and shovel his way all down there. And due to the fact that we have a working staircase there, if there's anything going weird, it'll just work out fine. Because, you know, you already notice what I'm talking about. They're doing these jobs in the weirdest in the weirdest order possible. You know, they started digging out that on this level first, and then they went up there. So this way you have a safe exit for your little goofballs, so they don't kill themselves accidentally until you go there now for the lowest level. And now we set up a little bit of like that, and the next migrants are arriving. Wonderful. So what we are left with is now a direct shaft plummeting all the way down to the lava. Now, the last thing that I want to do here, and that's just me being paranoid, you really don't need to do that, is I'm putting up a piece of wall now in front of every one of these. Simply because I want to make sure if anything is good enough at climbing to claw its way back up there, I don't want it to get close to the staircase that connects the fortress. No, thank you. So here we go. That's just me being a little bit paranoid, you know. And now, last but not least, of course, we need a bit of a safety measure here. Because, you know, like I said, we don't want anything crawling up from here. Because, you know, flying stuff can fly upwards, and there can be flying forgotten beasts, and that's where things get really nasty. So everywhere where you open up your fortress to the caverns anyway, it is super important that you respect the fact that you should be able to seal it off, just to avoid some funky things crawling into your fortress. Or you don't, and you enjoy the fun that comes with that. But I guess most of you will only do that once. Alrighty, so there we go. Fortress insides here are finally getting closer to completion. Thing is, we got by now 122 people, and we need a lot of rooms, and we had new migrants. So, as usual, when new migrants hit town, check out if they brought new animals, and look at this! We caught us some troglodytes in our cages. Brilliant. So our place here is finally actually important too. So what we're going to do next here is I'm going to dig out a little bit of a room that we're going to utilize for the pit. So next thing we do is now we assign that as a pit. So you do this like that. Here we go. Accept, and this is now the top of the pit. Exactly. So now we can just assign things to be pitted, you know? Let's pit the first troglodyte. Here we go. So first happens is, let's see, pit pond troglodyte. Here we go. Somebody already picked up the job. So we're going to follow Solon now on his journey to pit the troglodyte. So he has that thing now on a leash, and this is the most important and difficult and dangerous thing. Sometimes they can't even break free because, you know, nobody likes to get shoved down a lava shaft. So we're now switching the camera to the troglodyte, and therefore what we're doing here is we're digging out this room there to store the cages in. So there is a little bit of a shorter commute. So now our friend the troglodyte goes for a little bit of a lava dive. The most fun part about it is he goes really down deep and, you know, problem solved, literally. So yeah, I personally love to have a something like that. And since we had such a quick connection between the magma pond and a fortress, this was one of the easiest ways to put it up. I strongly recommend you to utilize these things as well, because at the end of the day, you want to get rid of these things, you know? You don't want to be stockpiling dozens of troglodytes in your cages, you know, for what reason? But you also want to have those cage traps at the end of the day, because, you know, as you see there, we need them. We need them. Alrighty, so in the meantime, our new squad, let's see how they fare. As you see there, they are still not doing their thing. Why? Because we didn't put up the schedule correctly. As you see there, most issues have a very direct and clear solution and reason behind them. Okay, so next step here, we're going to increase the value of our living areas. Very, very important. And at this point, a lot of business and a lot of commotion is going to be around and about your fortress in general. When your fortress is growing, you know, I personally am a big fan of the stance to say fortress first. You know, finish your bedrooms first and get these things going, because otherwise you ultimately suffer from unhappiness, and unhappiness is a pretty nasty business. So we still have one wet spot here. I bet that's because we didn't smooth out these. Let's see. Probably we got the problem under control now. I don't know. We'll see about that. So aquiferous rock is its own kind of beast. Alrighty. So let's see, do we have some flooring available here? Oh boy, I hate it when that happens. So I'm doing a quick, I'm doing this quickly off camera, the flooring and all, if we have enough floor, that is. Let's first check that. So, siltstone blocks, yeah. Give me a sec, or a few minutes. For you, it'll be a sec. And just like that, the flooring is down. I am a big fan of nicely floored rooms, as you all know, so let's keep going. I did realize lately, though... Wait a sec, why is that chain thing not completed? Wait a sec. What is going on here again? Sorry, that kind of like broke my train of thought. So this metalsmith's forge is free for anybody to use. This is somehow not correct. So probably one of my people died here, or whatever. So now it's again correct. So yeah, with those mandates, it's good to look after them from time to time. But actually, I wanted to say that the room value here is still not living up to its name. So we're going to do something here, which is a pretty nice way to amp up the room value. So we're going to create some statues for the everyday usage. So in that regard, we're going to put up rock statues, and we're defining the type of stone. Let's make them, well, Let's make them bauxite. I like the look of that stone. And we're going to make 6 of them. I'm making them all just at this one work spot here. And these are going to be used all over the place in the fortress to be, well, whatever we need from them. So let's set up our new farming spot here. In the meantime, while we have another moody dwarf going on here. So what's really important to note about moody dwarfs is that if the dwarf is not being possessed, then at the end of this of his artifact creation, he's going to be legendary in that business. So Kadol will be, for example, after this artifact, turn into a legendary clothier. Therefore, it is really cool to utilize that whenever this happens. I'm this time not going to go for the micro because, you know, the explanation work here is killing me anyways. But you can, for example, set up that person then and assign him to that specific workshop, for example. I've shown you in different regards how you can do that, and therefore it's a pretty good thing if you want to use it, but you don't need to. If a dwarf is possessed, though, they don't gain any skill from that because, you know, an outside force made the artifact. In terms of lore, I think it is meant to be the spirit of an ancestor doing that, or whatever is the idea behind that. Let me know if you know. So our security is turning into a really nice looking thing, isn't it? So what I want to do next is a fun little endeavor. And that's going to be a bit of a detour here. There we go. So this is going to be an alternative pathway into the fortress, which is only open during times of attack. So the idea behind that, because, you know, we're all about surface security today. The idea behind that is that we will have here a extra layer of security and traps that we can get the enemies to cross when we want to do that. Why is that important, you might ask yourself? Why not just bring up the trap corridor right like that and don't do any shifting things? So the point here is quite simple. Some species are quite smart. They come to your fortress, they scout your fortress, they memorize where those traps are, and the next time they come to your fortress, they ignore your traps because they're just avoiding them. So therefore, a really nice trick to alleviate that issue is to have a couple of traps that actually nobody is seeing, usually. So what we're doing here is we're setting up a lever here. And that thing will be linked to both of these bridges here. So basically, we can now raise that bridge and lower these bridges to create an alternative entrance, which is actually just spelling out doom for the enemy. I'm going to keep that raw as it is right now. You could fill that with all your diabolical ingenuity, from weapon traps to cage traps, rockfall traps, or... well, there's a lot of things that we can do here, but for starters, we're going to leave it like that, mostly as a theoretical thing. And the next thing I'll do once the levers have been linked, I'm just going to flick that switch and seal that area off for now, until we're going to do another episode which will be focused more about trap designs and the like. Until then, that corridor here is not going to get used in any way. But, you know, it's all about the preparations, in my humble opinion. Now then, so the next thing we can and should do is we're going to set up a proper outside perimeter. So here, when we look upstairs, we see that here is a bit of a well, here's floor above us, but out here, if we put up a wall like here, which is actually reflecting my plans quite well, so let's make that happen. Well, let's build with rock salt, why not? So it's the same problem as with the caverns down below. If we would be relying on that, the enemy would be just climbing above the wall and getting into a fortress just like that. So we're going to utilize our good old tricks here yet again and put up a lid on top of that. So we're setting up floor just like that. Boom. This is eating up a lot of blocks. Alternatively, if you don't want to put up a floor like that, you can also set up a bridge which starts here and goes all the way over to there, and this will also keep the enemy from entering from above, and at the same time will require much fewer blocks. I'll leave it up to you. It's just a matter of taste, how you want to build things. But for me personally, nothing beats a fully floored fortress entrance. That's just me, you know? So we're alerted by the caravan. You know, I am skipping the merchants here more than I would usually do, but that's mostly because, you know, I have already explained how merchants and trading in the game works, and there's really not that much new that I could put into here. So the gist of it is use your caravans more than I do here. You know, there's no reason except for me being lazy here. You know, so let's check out rock salt. We still got 200 chunks of that, so pretty good stuff. Going to put up a nice little trick here. So since we're building up here a lot with rock salt, and it's going to stay like that, I'm going to set up a little bit of a stockpile zone and tell them to store the rock salt blocks here, you know? This will lead to my folks to carry that stuff on over there, and this will help us, you know? Also, I noticed I have no distinct stockpile zone for rock salt yet. I meant to change that as well. So I personally am a big fan of dedicated stockpile zones for specific stone types. Works super well for me. Always something I enjoyed doing a lot. So the cages were not being hauled to the new zone, so let's forbid them in my this and that stockpile zone. The bauxite statues are being transported down here, and already you can see the workshop that I set up here with the furniture modification job is slowly working his way through and modifying those statues here. We're going to utilize those statues later to make sure that my dudes are getting some upgraded rooms there. All right, so let's see. We have a new mandate. We have no convicts so far. So there needs to be a helmet. You know, okay. So let's make a copper helmet. Oh, wait a second. How's my bar situation? So we got plenty of copper. We ain't got no bronze whatsoever. We almost got no charcoal anymore. So I'm going to make a quick copper helm here, but that also shows me that we really need to do something about that. So next episode probably I'm going to automate the metal production properly, but for today we're also going to automate the charcoal production. So it's going to be quite a simple thing. We're going to tell the game to keep a stockpile of 50 refined coal at any time, but only if we have 15 or more logs. There we go. So this is going to be a simple setup. It's going to allow us to do our thing. I'm also expanding my stockpiles here like that, because, you know, obviously we can use more stone like that, more wood than that. So last few things here. Rock salt being stored here. Enable more wheelbarrows, and I think we're good for today. So, my friends, we're going to continue in the next episode with more things here, but I must say I'm quite happy with the progress that I made. I still have to seal that thing entirely here, and that means really all these areas. Don't know if I can do that, if we do that during the next episode or however we're going to do that, so. But you know what I mean. We're going to continue with that, but as soon as these floor pieces are down, that's what I meant to say, this thing here is safe. There's no chance rather than going on your feet through here to enter this basin. That's exactly what we require. Next episode, I'm going to continue on this concept, but for today, I'm quite happy where we left off. So, thanks for watching, everybody. This is a pretty solid thing. We have a strike force upstairs here. We have traps. We could set up even more traps if we'd want to. I'm okay with that. So, leave me your comments down below. I'd be happy to hear from you. Leave me a thumbs up on that episode if you enjoyed, to make it more visible to everybody else. This helps a ton. And of course, if you want to support the channel, leave a subscription. If you want to stay notified about all the stuff that I do, just hit that bell thing and you get a notification whenever my daily videos pop up. And, oh, it didn't work. Just like I thought. And of course, at the end of the day, feel free to check out the links down there. There's playlists to more Dwarf Fortress, and there's also support links for the channel, Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee. I'd be delighted if you'd give them a look. And next episode, we're definitely going to fix up that thing, and we're going to use the pit more. So, with all that being said, have a good one, everybody, and see you next time.